Uh, Welcome to this morning. We really appreciate your time for being here with us. Welcome to BTV Kenya. You can reach on us on BTV Kenya, that is on YouTube, TikTok, BTV Kenya. You can also find us on Facebook page, that is Blackman TV, and you can also reach us also on the Twitter, that is BTV Kenya. Welcome to this morning, today's newspaper review, only here at Vibrant Morning with me, Isaiah Gagi, bringing you more to find in your today's newspaper, that is People Daily. We are just going to dive straight into what we are having for you for today in your newspaper. We're just going to give you a glimpse of what we have in the newspaper so that you can have the opportunity to grab a free copy of People Daily and read what is there. Now, looking on the cover page of the today's newspaper, you can see there a photo of the president, that is President William Ruto, and it is captioned there, President's new headache, President's new cabinet headache. We know recently the president actually fired all the cabinet secretaries, and the president is forming another cabinet, of which the president has said that he has welcomed dialogue and consultation from across all divide to make sure that we have inclusivity and a unity-packed cabinet. Moving down there, you can also see on the cover page where you have city debts. That's the hard questions. Remember what has been witnessed in Kware. The Kenyans are having hard questions to answer. And on the same note, you will see there a group of people demonstrating. I don't know what they are carrying, but you will find that on the today's daily newspaper, that is People Daily. And also we have there an image of NHIF card, that is a blow to Ruto as High Court declares shift unlawful. Remember, in the past, the president, there was a proposal that NHIF be transferred into Social Health Insurance Fund, of which the High Court has declared that is unlawful. You get there, and also you'll also find there a picture of Argentina team after beating Colombia to win Copa American Cup. You'll find that more of the story is also found there in the sports section. Femicide, just how did a pervert kill 24 women in Nairobi slum without the knowledge of a security agency? That you'll get there on page 3 and page 4. Even if family members reported cases of missing persons, the police owe us an explanation on the status of the investigation and the officer who handled the case. You'll find there, that's a quote by Carlo Hassan. You'll find that is part of what you'll get in the newspaper. Now let us dive into the page 1 of the People Daily newspaper. What we are having there, ODM headed for imminent split as top organ meets. We know today the members of the ODM party are meeting in Nakuru to discuss matters of being involved in the government, that is in the cabinet that is to be appointed by the president. Now, President William Ruto promises inclusive talk to pull nation from current crisis sparked by tax riot. Now, you can read the story there. The story is by Charles Mwangi and PCs. Opposition leader Raila Odinga's troop converged this morning for a make or break meeting to decide their position in the new look cabinet to be unveiled next week by the president. You can get more of that story as members of the ODM party meets today, that is the top organ of the party meets today to discuss their involvement in the cabinet that the president is to announce in the next week to come. And now, you will also find a filler there where the right group that the human rights groups use now targeting governor. Now you can read the story by Ruben Mwambingu, Mombasa-based civil society group, and young people have vowed to intensify pressure on government, Nasir, and are planning protests to demand transparency and accountability. Now we are saying the young people now pushing and giving pressure to the governors of County of Mombasa to be clear and show what is happening and how Mombasa has been spending. Now you can get that or much of that story in the People Daily, that's on page 2. Now on page 2, there is a sad news though of an accident where 2 people perished early in the morning in Narok accident. Now this accident involved a motorbike which was heading to Narok and also a truck which was heading to Nairobi, and the police confirmed that the 2 died on the spot. That is, the motorist and the person who was carried by the motorist, they died on the spot, while at the same time we are being informed that the truck driver did not sustain any injury. You can get much of that information on page 2 of the People Daily. Keep reading, keep following with us. And moving on to page 3, we are having suspect in gruesome city killing nabbed in estate. Now you remember there's been a report of killings in Nairobi. A man arrested in Soweto confessed to murdering 42 women, including wife, over the last 1 year. Now, this man was arrested. The story is there by Zadok Angira and Cynthia Atuo. The main suspect behind the Kware dam site killing, Collins Jumaisa, has confessed to killing over a total of 42 women, including his wife, between the year 2020 and July 11th of this year. Now you can get much of the story there and see how it happened, how this man was moving around and killing innocent people, including his wife, and he confessed after being arrested by the police that he had killed more than 42 women. And you can also see a picture there from left DCI General Mohammed Amin. You can get much of that. Now we also get a filler there on the same page 3. Lobbies demand police to be held responsible for Kware mutilated bodies. Now, a story by Masimwai. A number of lobby groups want police held accountable for the discovery of 9 dismembered bodies believed to be women in Kware pipeline area 4 days ago. The lobby groups have raised concern of how such bodies can be dumped in such quarry just a few meters from police station without the officer manning the station noticing. Now remember, this man claimed that he has been killing women, and from where the person stays to the police station in Kware is not far. Now the members of the lobby groups are now demanding and saying that the police should be responsible and should be accountable, and they should come out and answer clearly to what had happened. You can get much of that story on page 3 of the People Daily newspaper. There is much we are bringing to you. And moving to page 4, that is question raised as Kware suspects say he killed 42 women. That is part of the story that we just got in on page 3. And you can also get much of that story in page 4 as questions are rising as Kware suspect said he killed 42 women. And remember, as stated earlier, this person was staying very close to the police station. Concern raised on how such heinous act continued without the knowledge of officer despite a police station being 150 meters away. The story is there by Zadok Angira. You can get much of the story by Zadok Angira on the killings. Now, remember a few days ago, days past, we have lost a great man of God in the nation of Kenya, that is Bishop Alan Kuna. And we have their story where First Lady and Second Lady pay tribute to the fallen televangelist Kuna. Now, the First Lady, that is Rachel Ruto, had eulogized the late Bishop Kuna as a great man who loved the church and lived his life based on the scripture. You can get more of that story on page 4. On page 4 of the story, we have a photo there of the First Lady eulogizing the late bishop. Get more of that story on page 4. Now, moving on to page 5 of the newspaper, health scheme illegal, judges ruled. What we saw on the cover page, where we said the panel cites two sections of the Social Health Insurance Act that don't make exception for emergency services. Now remember, the story is here by Alphonse Mangahu. The High Court has declared the new Social Health Insurance Fund unconstitutional, but the state was granted a reprieve after the judge suspended their own ruling for 45 days. Now, the social health insurance has been ruled to be unconstitutional by the High Court judges, while at the same time the judge has suspended themselves for ruling for 45 days. That means the government has something to do to appeal to what is stated there. Now, a panel of judges dismissed petition to suspend affordable housing levy. Remember, sometimes back the president was out and there is housing levy that is being deducted from the employees, and now there was a case that was filed in the court that it was unconstitutional for Kenyans to pay the housing levy. Nevertheless, the judges have dismissed the petition and they are saying that the tender has been awarded and the construction of the affordable housing is ongoing. Therefore, they have upheld on the side of the affordable housing that the construction should go on. The government can continue collecting the affordable housing levy, a judge has ruled. A High Court judge, Olga Sewe, John Tigiti, and Josephine Mongare dismissed bid by 6 petitioners to temporarily suspend section of the 2024 Affordable Housing Act, including the collection of the levy. Now you get to read the story there and much more on page 5 of the People Daily newspaper. Now, moving on to page 5, what we have on page 5, if you get a copy, remember, People Daily is a free copy newspaper. You can get your copy, grab it, and get more. I'm just giving you the highlights of what you expect in the newspaper. And you can still follow us on BTV Kenya, that is on YouTube. You can follow us on Blackman TV, that's on Facebook page. You can follow us on TikTok, BTV Kenya. You can also follow us on Twitter, that is BTV Kenya. Feel free to give your comment on how we are doing the newspaper review. We'll be ready to sample your feedbacks at the right time. Now, moving on to page 6 of the People Daily newspaper, court revoke appointments of KRA boss over Ethics Act violation. Now, the story here is by Alphonse Mungaho. The High Court yesterday revoked the appointment of Kenya Revenue Authority KRA Board Chairman Anthony Maura after finding that his appointment violated the Public Officers Ethics Act. Remember, the chairman of the board of KRA was appointed, but the court has revoked, saying that he cannot be appointed on the basis that his appointment violates the Public Officers Ethics Act. That story, you can find it on page 6 of the People Daily newspaper. Get your newspaper and read more. Now, health and education was hit by the budget cut. Remember, the Jay-Z were on the streets and they were saying that the government should do away with Finance Bill 2024. However, this has proven and this has stated that the action by the president to withdraw the 2024 finance bill is going to cause havoc. As we can see, the health and education is was hit by the budget cut. The government has to do the budget cut, and it is that budget cut is going to affect education and health sector with a great impact. Now, withdrawal of finance bill after countrywide protests led to budgetary deduction in ministry. Now, the story here is by Mercy Mwangi. Ministries, departments, and agencies that offer critical services have suffered a major setback following the deduction of their budgets due to withdrawal of the finance bill. In the proposed reduction of 156.4 billion as contained in the 2024-2025 supplementary estimates from the National Treasury as mostly affected health, energy, National Treasury, education, road, interior, housing, National Public Service, Parliament, housing, State House, lands, Office of the President, and Office of the Vice President. Now, that is what we have to experience even after pushing for the withdrawal of the Finance Bill 2024. Now, the government has to move back and retrace its steps by doing the budget cut, and it cuts across. That is what Kenyans to face. You can get that and more of the story on page 6 of the People Daily. Now, moving on to page 7, where we see the photo of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, that is Musalia Mudavadi. Mudavadi calls for peace and assures state has heard the youths. Mudavadi saying that the state has heard what the youths are calling for and is calling for peace. Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi is optimistic that Kenya will emerge stronger and more united after reverberations of protest and call for reforms in the government. Mudavadi said President William Ruto has keenly listened to the public concern following the collapse of the finance bill last month, and the government has swung into action. As you had seen, Mudavadi saying that the government has heard the cry of the people, and the president is keenly listened to the people and has swung into the action. Number one, by firing all the cabinet and by calling for the dialogue. You can get much of the story there on page 7. Now, the most vocal Kuria attribute dissolution of the cabinet to saboteurs within the state. Now you can get the story. A day before dismissal, the former public service PS claimed that some of roles allocated to Gachagua had been reassigned to him. You can get the story. The story is by Charity Shitote. Former Public Service Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria now claims that high-ranking government officials plotting the government's downfall were behind the cabinet dissolutions. Kuria alleged that some people in in the administration took advantage of the Gen Z's protest to overthrow the government. You can get the story there, which echo the sentiments of former cabinet secretary, that is Moses Kuria. There's a filler there where we have Kisii leaders call for rigorous vetting of new cabinet ministers. The story by Julius Ongwai. You can get much of the story on page 7. And moving on to page 8, the news beats. We are the church. Gen Z take on the clergy. Youthful protesters in Kenya challenge Christian leaders they accused of going to bed with the government. In Kenya, the youth protest against planning tax increase have served as a wake-up call for the church. They have shaken up a powerful